They laughed at him the moment his truck rolled into the company parking lot. It was impossible not to notice. While hundreds of employees arrived in luxury sedans, expensive SUVs, and high-end sports cars, one rusty pickup truck rattled through the front gate as if it belonged in another decade. The faded paint was peeling. The front bumper had been repaired more times than anyone could count. Even the security guards exchanged amused looks as the vehicle slowly came to a stop near the main entrance. Behind the wheel sat a single father named Daniel Brooks, and beside him was his 12-year-old daughter, Lily. As they stepped out, several employees openly laughed. To them, Daniel looked like a struggling mechanic who had somehow wandered onto the property by mistake. What none of them knew was that the old truck contained something worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Daniel ignored the stares and helped Lily out of the passenger seat. She adjusted her backpack and glanced nervously at the people watching them. Ever since losing her mother 5 years earlier, Lily had become the center of Daniel's world. Everything he did revolved around giving her a better future. That wasn't easy. Although Daniel had once been celebrated as one of the most brilliant engineers in the country, he had disappeared from the spotlight after his wife's death. He sold his mansion, stepped away from public life, and dedicated himself to raising Lily. Most people assumed he had gone bankrupt or failed. The truth was very different. During those years away from the public eye, Daniel had quietly built one of the most revolutionary inventions the technology industry had ever seen. That morning, Daniel had arrived at Titan Dynamics headquarters for a demonstration meeting. For nearly 3 years, he had been developing a machine capable of reducing industrial energy consumption by almost 70%. If successful, it would save companies billions of dollars while dramatically reducing environmental waste. Several major corporations had already expressed interest, but Titan Dynamics had requested an exclusive presentation. The meeting could potentially change the future of the industry. As Daniel and Lily approached the building, a luxury black vehicle pulled up beside them. Out stepped Victor Kane, the billionaire CEO of Titan Dynamics. Victor was known for his wealth, confidence, and arrogance. He quickly noticed Daniel's truck and smirked. "Is that thing still running?" he asked loudly enough for nearby employees to hear. Laughter immediately followed. Daniel remained calm. "It gets me where I need to go." Victor looked at the vehicle again and shook his head. "I spend more on office furniture than that truck is worth." The crowd laughed even harder. Lily lowered her eyes. Daniel noticed immediately. That hurt more than the insult itself. Victor wasn't finished. "You sure you're in the right place? The repair shop is across town." Several executives standing nearby chuckled. Cameras from the company's media team happened to be recording arrivals for promotional content, capturing every second of the humiliation. Daniel simply smiled. "I'm here for the presentation." Victor raised an eyebrow. "The presentation?" "That's right." Victor looked him up and down before turning toward his executives. "This should be interesting." Inside the building, Daniel and Lily were escorted to a conference room while Victor continued making jokes at his expense. The atmosphere remained uncomfortable. Every glance, every whisper, every smirk communicated the same message. Nobody took him seriously. The presentation was scheduled for noon. Unfortunately, things got worse before then. While waiting, Lily accidentally overheard several employees discussing her father. One of them laughed and said Daniel looked like someone who fixed lawnmowers for a living. Another suggested the company was wasting time meeting with people who clearly didn't belong there. Lily tried to ignore them, but their words stayed with her. When Daniel returned to the waiting area, he immediately noticed something was wrong. "Everything okay?" he asked. She forced a smile. "Yeah." But Daniel knew his daughter better than anyone. "No, it isn't." Eventually she admitted what happened. Daniel listened quietly. For a moment, anger flashed across his face. Not because people had mocked him. Because they had made his daughter feel ashamed. He knelt beside her. "Never let someone decide your value based on what they see on the outside." Lily nodded. "What if everyone thinks they're better than us?" Daniel smiled. Then they're the ones who still have something to learn. At noon, the meeting finally began. Victor entered the massive conference room surrounded by executives, investors, and department heads. The atmosphere felt less like a business meeting and more like a performance. Several attendees were already expecting Daniel to embarrass himself. Victor took his seat. "Let's see this invention." Daniel walked to the front of the room and connected a small device to the presentation system. For the next 20 minutes, he explained his technology. At first, people seemed skeptical. Then their expressions began to change. The numbers were extraordinary. The projections were even better. By the end of the presentation, the room had become completely silent. Every executive realized they were looking at something revolutionary. Victor, however, wasn't ready to admit it. "This all sounds impressive," he said. "But ideas are cheap." Daniel nodded. "That's why I brought a prototype." Victor laughed. "You brought it in that truck?" "Yes." More laughter spread throughout the room. Victor leaned back confidently. "This should be good." Outside in the parking lot, employees gathered around Daniel's old pickup truck as he opened the rear compartment. What happened next stunned everyone. Hidden beneath custom panels was a fully functional industrial prototype unlike anything they had ever seen. The machine immediately powered up. Engineers rushed forward. Technicians began running diagnostics. Within minutes, they confirmed Daniel's claims. The technology worked perfectly. The crowd fell silent. For the first time all day, nobody was laughing. Victor's confident expression disappeared. The machine represented a breakthrough that could transform the entire industry. Its value wasn't measured in millions. It was measured in billions. News of the demonstration spread rapidly through the company. Executives who had mocked Daniel only hours earlier suddenly changed their attitudes. People who had ignored him now wanted conversations. Investors wanted meetings. Engineers wanted explanations. Victor immediately offered to purchase the technology. Daniel politely declined. The CEO looked surprised. "Everyone has a price." Daniel shook his head. "No. Everyone has values." Victor's smile faded. The following days became increasingly complicated. Competing corporations learned about the invention and began submitting offers. Financial analysts estimated that Daniel's technology could become one of the most profitable industrial innovations of the decade. Suddenly, Daniel found himself at the center of a bidding war. Victor hated losing. For years, he had built his reputation around getting whatever he wanted. The idea of another company acquiring Daniel's invention felt like a personal defeat. Determined to maintain control, he launched a public campaign questioning the technology's reliability. Anonymous reports appeared online. Rumors spread throughout industry circles. Some investors became hesitant. The pressure increased dramatically. Lily noticed the stress immediately. One evening she found her father sitting alone in the garage staring at the prototype. "Are you worried?" she asked. Daniel smiled weakly. "A little." "What if they ruin everything?" Daniel looked at his daughter. Then he remembered why he had started this journey in the first place. The invention wasn't about money. It was about creating something meaningful. Something that could improve lives. "They can't ruin the truth," he said. A week later, the industry's largest innovation summit arrived. Hundreds of executives, investors, journalists, and technology experts gathered to witness the final public demonstration. Victor attended as well, fully expecting Daniel to fail under pressure. Instead, the opposite happened. The machine exceeded every expectation. Live tests confirmed its efficiency. Independent engineers verified the results. Industry experts called it one of the most important technological breakthroughs in years. The audience erupted into applause. Then came the moment nobody expected. The summit host stepped onto the stage and announced the winner of the Global Innovation Award. The recipient was Daniel Brooks. As he walked forward to accept the honor, massive screens behind him displayed his background and achievements. The audience learned something astonishing. Daniel wasn't just an inventor. He wasn't just an engineer. He wasn't just a single father. He was the founder of multiple successful technology companies, owner of dozens of patents, and one of the wealthiest private inventors in the country. His estimated net worth exceeded $4 billion. The room fell silent. Victor stared at the screen in disbelief. Every insult, every joke, every moment of humiliation suddenly replayed inside his mind. The man he had mocked because of an old truck was a billionaire genius whose inventions had shaped industries for decades. The audience rose to its feet in applause. Journalists rushed forward. Investors competed for meetings. Executives who had laughed at him now struggled to hide their embarrassment. Then Daniel did something nobody expected. Instead of attacking Victor publicly, he told a story. He spoke about losing his wife. He spoke about raising Lily alone. He spoke about choosing a simple life despite his wealth. Most importantly, he spoke about how easily people judge others based on appearances. The room listened carefully. Daniel then turned toward Victor. You saw an old truck and assumed you knew my worth. You saw simple clothes and assumed you understood my story. The truth is that character doesn't come with a price tag. The audience applauded again. Victor lowered his head. For the first time in years, he had no response. Several weeks later, Titan Dynamics announced major leadership changes after shareholders expressed concerns about Victor's behavior. His reputation suffered significantly. Many executives who had supported his arrogance found themselves facing similar consequences. Meanwhile, Daniel's technology secured partnerships worth billions of dollars. More importantly, it began delivering exactly what he had envisioned: lower costs, cleaner energy usage, and meaningful improvements across multiple industries. One afternoon, Daniel and Lily drove away from a successful product launch in the same old truck. The vehicle still rattled. The paint was still faded. Nothing about it had changed. Lily smiled. You know, you could buy 1,000 new trucks, right? Daniel laughed. I know. Then why keep this one? He looked at the steering wheel and smiled. Because this truck reminds me of who we are. Lily nodded. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Daniel realized something important. The people who laughed at him had been measuring success using the wrong tools. They looked at appearances instead of character. They saw an old truck but missed the brilliant mind behind it. They saw a humble father but missed the billionaire inventor. In the end, the greatest lesson wasn't about wealth or technology. It was about never underestimating someone simply because they choose humility over attention. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share it with friends and family, and leave a comment below. What would you have done if you were in Daniel's position?